Me, Dustin, Tate, and Jocelyn. Yeah, fresh answer.
Yeah, that's good. What is a solar eclipse? It's pretty much when the moon starts to block the sun's light towards the earth.
Why does a solar eclipse occur? It occurs because sometimes the moon's orbit around the Earth and the Earth's orbit around the sun, they interfere and they align up perfectly and you get the eclipse.
Types of solar eclipses. Partial, the moon only passes through some of the light. Part of the sun is still visible. Annual, the inner portion of the sun is covered. Only an outer ring of light is visible. Total, the entirety of the sunlight is covered. Everything gets dark.
Facts about the solar eclipse. It has to be a new moon. They normally only 2 to 5 eclipses each year. Total solar eclipses happen only every 1 to 2 years, and then can at least go up to 7.5 minutes.
Alright, so what is a lunar eclipse? A lunar eclipse is when the moon gets caught in the Earth's shadow from the sunlight and it covers up a portion of the moon and the moon gets dark, parts of it, and if it's a total moon, then it'll turn this blood red kind of orangish color.
Types of lunar eclipse. Penumbral, the moon passes through Earth's outer shadow. They are harder to observe and may go unnoticed by most people. Partial, part of the moon passes through Earth's penumbral shadow. These are easy to see with the naked eye. The total, the whole moon passes through Earth's umbral shadow. The moon becomes a vibrant red color externally. What's happening?
Facts about lunar eclipses. Lunar eclipses occur during a new moon also, but they happen 3 times a year instead of just the 1 to 2. And then during a partial lunar eclipse, only a portion of the new moon face only a portion of the new moon faces to the Earth.
Okay, so we have a story about how a total lunar eclipse saved Christopher Columbus's life. So on his 4th and final voyage in the Caribbean Ocean and those islands down there, he had 4 ships, but 2 of them were destroyed by an epidemic of worms that ate out the planks and rotted the wood. So they had to abandon those ships and crowd onto the 2 remaining ships. And they pretty quickly ran out of food and water and all of the stuff they need to live. So they had to dock on the northern coast of what we now know as Jamaica. And they ran into the local natives, the Arawak Indians, and at first they were nice and provided them with food and water and shelter. But after a while, a few weeks and months, tensions started to rise, and after about 6 months, Christopher Columbus's crew started stealing food and murdering the Indians. So they got mad and stopped giving them resources. But Christopher Columbus had an almanac that was written a few years earlier about sailing, and it was an astronomical almanac. and it told you like what stars to navigate by, about the planets and all that. So it was pretty dumb to go sailing without one. And so he had that, and he was reading it, and he read that 3 nights later there would be a total lunar eclipse. And so he went to the Indian chief and told them, our Christian God is unhappy with you not giving us food and resources, and as a sign of displeasure, he will, in 3 nights, he will make the moon a blood red color and all but pretty much blow it up as a sign of displeasure. And they said okay, and 3 nights later on cue it turned a blood red color, and all of the Arawak Indians were really scared, and so they ran to the ships with armfuls of resources and food and all that, and said, they asked Christopher Columbus to speak with their Christian God and ask to return the moon. They will keep giving us resources. And so Columbus returned to his quarters saying that he would talk with the God, and then he had an hourglass, and then when it was scheduled to start returning, a few minutes before that, he went out and said, okay, our God's fine with you guys, he's okay, he'll return the moon, and the moon came back. So, and then Christopher Columbus had people, they came and got him a few months later, so they all lived, yay. Okay, so now we have the model. There it is. Alright, Tate, hold your earth. So first there's a solar eclipse. So this happens when it has to be a new moon, because that's the time when the moon is in between the sun and the earth. And so it happens when it comes in perfect alignment with the sun, and there's like a shadow on the earth. And so that's the part of the earth that they can see the eclipse, where it gets dark and all that. Then there's the lunar eclipse. It has to be a full moon, because that's the only time that the moon is behind the earth. It's when the sun shines on the earth and the moon gets caught in the earth's shadow, and it kind of disappears because you can't really see the sunlight on it because it's in the earth's shadow. Yay. Yeah.
So is like a lunar eclipse like the blood, like the harvest moon?
Not always. A lot of times, like the harvest moons or like blood moons, that's just the sunlight bouncing off the earth, and sometimes it just goes onto the moon. But most of the time during a total lunar eclipse, it will turn that blood red color. Any questions?